Just give it a fucking break. Okay, they apparently there's a part about the Blizzard staff massacre. That's what they call it. Real talk about the Blizzard staff massacre. Okay, not layoffs, not restructuring of the company, but a fucking massacre. That's just, you know, that's the right word to use, I would say. That's absolutely amazing. Okay, give me a second. Let me open this up.
Are you being sarcastic?
I mean, massacres. I mean, that's...
You're definitely not one to talk about other people being dramatic, okay?
Of course I am.
No.
I mean, I'm not really being dramatic. Like what? Oh, because I quit a stream once. I'm dramatic. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do. Yeah, I don't want to do this. I quit the stream
once.
Well, yeah, I quit it like.
And let's not forget the couple of months that we've spent, you know, shitting all over WoW and being.
You're right. The massacre. That's true. Because if we turn back on it now, like we're gonna be assholes. This is a fuck. It wasn't a massacre, bro. It was a fucking bloodbath. All right. Like, and the only people, there's a bloodbath so Blizzard can get the blood money from fucking store mounts. That's it, right there. Genocide's too much.
That's
okay?
that's too
yeah,
much.
Just relax, bro. Like, the fuck's wrong with you? Okay. They said it's the first minute or two.
Well, isn't this quite the gathering of Horde leaders? What brings you to my humble abode, loyal allies?
Dark Lady, we've been discussing this matter very seriously, and we feel like we can stand it no longer. Some of your decisions of late have been cruel, heartless, and... well, look, I don't want to say evil.
You can say evil.
Okay,
well,
fine. Some of your decisions have been flat out evil, and we, leaders of the Horde, have come to warn you. We believe you to be under the influence of a dark power.
Look, how many times
That's actually
do I
not
have
true.
to
She's
tell
just on her
you?
period.
I don't know anything about N'Zoth,
all of BFA.
okay? I've never even met him.
No, not N'Zoth,
Elves
my
are immortal,
lady,
so they have a
but
different
trade
cycle.
Prince Cotigwix.
What? This is outrageous! What have I ever done?
We believe him to be a bad influence on your decision-making, War Chief.
A bad influence? Listen, bud, I have made nothing but pure profit for the Horde side since I've been here, okay? Remember when we sold all the PvP vendors in Orgrimmar and how much moolah we made from that deal?
But now we have no PvP vendors.
A minor detail. And hey,
that guy just looks like he ruins video games.
Anyway?
My lady, we are also worried about the new Azerite market.
Hey, whoa, back off, bud. We are making some big margins on that Azerite, okay?
It is literally the soul of Azeroth.
So we're selling an itty-bitty teeny bit of the soul of the whole world. There's plenty of souls to go round. Is no one thinking of the shareholders in all of this?
And Cotigwix keeps most of the money himself anyway.
Is this true, Cotigwix?
Well, yeah, I mean, I keep most of the money, but I do most of the work.
That's true.
You don't do any of the work.
I count the monies. That's hard work, okay? Because there's a lot of monies. Hey, you know what? You're fired, Panda boy. Get out of here.
War Chief, what will you do about all of this?
Hey, where you all going? Hey, you know what? Fine. I don't need yous all anyway. I still got all the cash. I got all the monies. I don't need no Horde anyway. Just the lovely, lovely money.
Knowledge is power.
Hello, Internet, and welcome back to another weekly reset. Taliesin and
Let's see if he says anything more about it.
Show, and I promise that we do have plenty of in-game WoW news to report on this week, like more additions to the new allied races.
Okay, yeah, this is the part of it.
We've got dancing, new achievement mounts,
okay, it's just a few minutes.
Cool loot table for Covenant of Storms mini-raid, and a sneak peek at some other secrets coming our way too. But we have to start, I'm afraid, with that big... well, I guess you'd have to call it business news, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
We promised last week when reports first started circulating about imminent redundancies at Activision Blizzard that we would talk about them more when we had more concrete details to discuss. And here we are. Because now we know that during the latest earnings call, it was announced that the company would indeed be laying off 8% of its entire workforce.
That's
making
a lot
around
of people.
800 people unemployed, in many cases effective immediately. And truth be told,
I feel like the juxtaposition of him talking about 800 people getting fucking fired and then always having a smile, it's just kind of funny.
I'm still really uncomfortable talking about this, even now, because we started this channel and this show because we like talking about a game, you know, and this shit is no game. This is real life people losing their real life jobs and livelihoods, and it seems a bit weird, a bit crass to me to essentially be making money out of that misery by giving a hot take about it on a stupid YouTube segment. A hot take that I'm sure no one needs by now, because there are channels that have already produced 3 or 4 videos on this, and that's cool. Everyone has their own way of doing things, but I have to admit, there's times like
these. What do you mean that's cool, dude? Like, you're really gonna do that? Like, if you're gonna call them out for doing that, just call them out for doing that. Like, yo, I don't want to do this and make money off of this because I feel like that would be immoral and against my values and just completely, you know, being a vulture in somebody else's misfortune. But listen, yo, people that have already made like dozens of videos, yo, you guys, like, do you, all right? You guys are cool, all right? Totally fine, man. Have a good time. Give me a fucking break. Everybody knows what you're doing.
That make me very glad that we have a weekly show to wait for, so that we don't have to react in the moment, instead having a couple of days to reflect and gather our thoughts into, hopefully, a more considered response than anything we'd have managed when emotions were still raw and hot. Because make no mistake, emotions were raw. In terms of human beings, this news is just the absolute worst. And as the severity of it began to sink in on Tuesday night, and details began to emerge on Twitter about not just the sheer numbers involved, but also the relatively high profile of some of the casualties, it was impossible not to feel absolutely furious about the whole situation, especially as simultaneous reports of Activision Blizzard's record profits for the year were also being made public. Which didn't so much feel like rubbing salt into the wound as flat out taking the piss being full of salt because you ate all the salt instead of rubbing it into the wound, and now you are pissing into the wound. You were taking a salty piss into the wound. And it was this comic book level villain ridiculousness of the guys at the top giving themselves big fat bonuses while laying off hundreds of the people that made it all possible that it's so rage-inducing. And if that's you, if you are angry, then good, because you are right to be upset by the events of this week, and we will certainly indulge that anger in this segment, don't you worry. But I want to also reiterate something that has become a bit of a mantra on this channel recently. Criticism is good, but it has to be the right criticism. It has to be accurate criticism, because predictably, another thing that we've seen a lot this week is people, purposely or not, using the fallout of this genuine human misery to try and prove correlation between agendas or points that aren't relevant, and that is not going to help anyone. So let's take a look at the exact details as they happened very quickly. On Tuesday, Activision Blizzard announced they are cutting some 8% of the workforce across the board. Now that means Activision Publishing, King, who obviously make Candy Crush, subsidiary studios like Moon, who make Ori and the Blind Forest, and the one this particular show is obviously most concerned with, Blizzard Entertainment. It seems that as far as Blizzard are concerned, the job losses have so far only occurred in IT and publishing departments. So that means marketing, esports, community management, and QA, with development roles pretty much untouched. I know, I think it's stupid that QA isn't classed as development either, but there you go. In fact, during the same earnings call that these redundancies were announced,
I mean, we can be honest with, like, one thing, like, QA and WoW is, I mean, it has not been good recently. Like, I mean, I can see why they'd be frustrated with that, but it's like whenever you talk about, like, community management and that kind of stuff, it's like if you're dealing with, like, an online game, you've got to figure out something, a way for you to interface with the user base, right? And, like, I mean, a lot of these people, like, interfaced with the user base, and that was important.
Announced alongside the company's record year, it was also stated that development teams across the biggest titles, which includes World of Warcraft, would actually be growing by 20%. It has transpired that many workers were actually...
No, man, that's such an indescript statement. The reason why it's like it's so amorphous and like undefined, because it says they what is actually the word that was said, right? Let's look at the can I find the part of it where it's like the line? It doesn't mean the World of Warcraft team is going to increase by 20%. It means teams are increasing. Like it's nondescript, and it's not specifically saying Warcraft. Let me read it again. Number of developers working on Overwatch in aggregate will increase approximately 20% over the course of 2019. See, people read over these words and they don't realize what they mean. See, yeah, like that.
By 20%. It has transpired that many workers were actually told about their redundancies a week or so earlier and were under non-disclosure agreements related to their severances packages, but plenty of staff were not told until Tuesday that they wouldn't have a job to come to on Wednesday. At least that's in the US. In the European offices, who proportionately are set for much bigger losses, seeing as they are almost entirely community and marketing based, most employees still don't know if they are the victims of this wave of job losses or not, as complex employment laws kick in, which will undoubtedly give those laid off employees a better deal in the long run, but just adds to the torture in the here and now. And this
they don't even know.
Multinational company at the same time as posting billions of.
It's like Schrodinger's job. You don't know if you have it or not. Like I think that's kind of like, I mean, right? It's funny in the same way that like a dead baby joke is funny. It's not actually funny, but it's funny because of how terrible it is.
Profit is always going to feel heartless. It's always going to feel greedy, and it's always going to feel soulless, and that's because it is. The severance packages that full-time permanent senior employees will receive are reportedly okay, but a lot of those affected are juniors or otherwise for some reason not classed as permanent, and they don't have that kind of safety net. And that means people who I personally count as friends have lost their jobs, and that makes me incredibly angry, which is one of the reasons that I went off on one on Twitch this week. So what I'm about to say next is in no way, shape or form
Look at the
a
hands.
defense of any of this shit.
Look at the hands.
I just want to make sure that if you are angry, which is good, then you are angry about the right things, because what is this story not? This is not unusual. It's not unusual for Activision Blizzard, who laid off 600 staff in 2012, a proportionately 50% larger round of job cuts than this. But it's also not unusual in the game industry as a whole. Even if you only half follow industry news, you'll know hardly a month goes by without huge and sudden job losses just like this across any number of studios, whether they be restructuring like Blizzard, going bust, or more likely just straight up sacking most of the team working on a particular game after that game has shipped. Well over 1,000 game development jobs were lost in 2018. Game studio employment fluctuates depending on development cycles, and game devs routinely are forced to relocate all over the country multiple times during a career. And it's not unusual in American corporate culture overall, because we might find Bobby Kotick's take-home pay of approximately $12 gazillion. I think that's right. I think it was 12 gazillion, give or take a couple of illion, something like that. Incredibly crass in the wake of these job cuts, and it is. But perhaps even worse, it's not unusually crass. It happens all the time. And here's what else this is not. This is not Blizzard failing. As much as we'd all love to be able to nod sagely and say, well, this is what happens when you dick with me, the gamer, by announcing mobile titles I don't like or having gay characters, this is Blizzard doing well. For all the talk for months of the company dying and stock prices plummeting and games not getting good receptions and God help us Blizz getting woke and going broke as a result, that is all bullshit. ActiBliz have had a record year and they are still laying off 800 staff. This has nothing to do with people voting with their wallets or Blizz going through tough times. These people losing their jobs isn't because something has gone wrong or badly. This is the system working as intended. And the thing is, if this isn't unusual behavior for ActiBliz, and it's not unusual behavior for the games industry, and it's not unusual behavior for corporations in general, the problem is not Activision Blizzard. It's much bigger than that. Like I say, please be angry about this. You should be, but get your criticism right and keep it accurate. Because if you really are angry about these people losing their jobs, there's no point blaming store mounts, or Azerite armor, or Jaina's vest, or Overwatch's wokeness. Blame a shit employment culture in the US. And if you really want to stop this happening again, it's not going to be stopped by WoW not catering to casuals suddenly, or making the game more like Classic, or PvP vendors, or classes being exactly what you want them to be, or Ian listening more to the community. They will be fixed by proper unionization and legal protections for workers, which are encouraged and supported by consumers, and that means you. Gamers Unite has been a phrase that we've heard a lot of in the past year, and you know what? I completely agree. Here I am, throwing my hat into the Gamers Unite ring with you now, but how about we unite against some shit that actually matters? How about we unite to demand that the video game industry, so many of us form our identities around, implement proper unions and protections? How about we get angry about that instead of not seeing as much of Jaina's tits?
Sure.
How about if we...
Why not both? Like, why not both? Where's the picture of Jaina's boobs?
Well, hang on.
Okay.
This whole issue is happening because even though Blizzard did great this year, they project losses or not as much growth next year, right? So,
I mean, like, I'm sure that's a factor, yeah.
well, no, I mean that's literally what the guy said in the call, right? He said our projections for 2019
Well, yeah,
aren't where we would
but there's
expect,
no,
right? We
they
haven't
didn't establish a correlation. Like that's something that you're establishing. They never said because our numbers are going to be lower next year, then we're going to fire these people. So it's I don't even.
Well,
think
then
it's
why
really
the
even,
fuck else would they do it?
because they feel like the people are redundant and they don't need them. Why do you think there are so many different ways for you to solve your tickets without actually going and talking to a GM? They're trying to fix redundancies and fire as many people as possible. That way they can make as much money as possible. The reason, like, I mean, obviously
So
nobody...
you think they'd care the exact same amount if they were making more money?
Yeah, of course. They're not going to give a fuck at all. Like, all right, so basically, all right, imagine this.
Okay.
2 situations. Situation 1. You have $10 million.
Uh-huh.
Situation 2. You have $20 million. Which one?
Yeah, I'll take the 20.
You get 20? Okay, well then people are going to get fired. Like, would you still take the 20?
No. I wouldn't because I'm a good person. But I mean, this is a different issue, but obviously pretty much every corporate executive is a sociopath. You kind of have to be, right? Because you can't care about people's jobs. You need to make business decisions, right? So you just got to do whatever is good for business. So pretty much everybody in the higher up is a sociopath.
In a way. I mean, like, I don't know if you can say they're a sociopath, but I mean, if you want to use that word, we can use that word.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why would they care? All they care is about the money, right? So if the product was better, let's just say, let's say WoW was still the cash cow it used to be,
yeah,
right, with Blizzard relying on it. You don't think that these layoffs wouldn't have happened, or they would have happened if it was still as successful as it used to be?
Yeah, I think they still would have done it.
Yeah, I don't know. I disagree.
Really? Okay, what does chat think?
They're obviously going to agree with you. Like, why the fuck would
they always disagree with me. Like, literally, if I read a post that says Asmongold is the worst person ever, he fucks dogs, and he is just he doesn't even play WoW, all of his footage is pre-recorded. Well, it is, because most of it's YouTube. But even the stuff beyond that is pre-recorded. They're just going to be like, yo, true, Wall W, true. Yo, this guy sucks, man. Like, if there's any negative feedback, that is just the general response. What?
Are you okay, or have you been reading your Reddit a little bit too much?
It's not that, dude. I'm just reading chat. Like, I've seen this happen like a dozen times. Like, if I respond to somebody that says, you are a cheating person, I hate you, and all you do is complain, and, like, it doesn't matter. Like, anything negative, people say true as a meme to, right? It's not even mean, it doesn't mean they, like, believe it, right? They'll just do it to meme around. And then they're like, man.
Well, then why bother asking chat if you know they're just gonna fucking lie?
Well, because they have 2 alternatives, right? They can't lie because they can't be stupid because there's more than one option. So by choosing more than one option, then both of them do kind of make sense in a way. It depends on, like, your perspective. It forces them to not be stupid. And unless they're just randomly guessing something. So it's actually a 300 IQ move. So chat, what do you guys think? Wait, what was the question again?
The question is, do you think Blizzard, or I guess Activision, do you think Activision would have laid people... Fuck. Do you think Activision would have laid people off if WoW was still as successful as it used to be?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I definitely think so.